Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown once again. So today we are going to discuss on Delhi Capitals pre-auction strategies and the retention picks that they made. Plus we have two DC Toli members joining us. Hello, Dwaipayan. Did I pronounce your name right? And
Yeah,
Tejas.
you've got closer than most people have in the first go, so congratulations.
Yeah, Dwaipayan. Yeah. So today we are going to obviously discuss about Delhi Capitals pre-auction strategies and the retention picks. So as we know, this Friday, the 23rd December at 2:30 p.m., the IPL mini auctions 2023 is going to start. So we can't wait to see how what Delhi Capitals will do on that day. Speaking of the strategies, so first of all, let's discuss about. About the trade that happened between Shardul Thakur, first of all. So, Dwaipan, first of all, talking about Shardul Thakur's trade to KKR, do you think that was a surprise that Delhi Capitals did? I mean, yeah, they did this obviously to say increase their purse, obviously, and obviously
Yeah.
target some players. But do you think the trade between Shardul Thakur and Aman Khan was that a good trade? Do you think, or do you see it in a different way? What are your thoughts on that? And Tejas also can add on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a surprise, but we see this all the time. IPL teams going around with trades with amount of purse that they have for a certain player, and mini auctions. Most of the game, as much as the game is played in the table on that day, a lot of the game is also played before it, the trading window and all. Aman Khan, I haven't watched a lot of him, but of whatever stats I have seen of whatever, like he's a 150 kilometer per hour bowler. He can also bat. So but no IPL experience. We have seen people before with great domestic circuit records coming into the IPL scene and slightly fizzling out. Shardul Thakur, I don't think he got enough. Once he was only here for a season, but I don't. It's a bit of ambiguity revolving around all this. But I don't know, Tejas. What do you think about it?
See, so the first thing that comes to my mind, it's not a like-to-like trade. There's
Yeah,
cash involved. Aman Khan comes at base price, I think 20 lakhs if I'm not wrong, and it's
yeah,
10 CR plus for Shardul. So
Hmm.
the trade should not be compared in terms of the likes to likes, in terms of the players, but in terms of the cash that the team is getting, right? And
Yeah.
what the point that comes to me is that where Shardul is placed, I think DC expected a lot more batting from him, from what I could sense how he was positioned in the team.
Yeah.
But having said that, he had started. If you notice, he was opening and he was bowling at least one or on an average 2 overs in the power play, which is inside the 6 overs, and that is not his strength. So
Yeah.
I don't feel we were utilizing him the way he's supposed to be utilized, or how he was being utilized in CSK, because he's more of a middle over partnership breaker bowler who bowls his 3-4 overs inside the 6 to 16 middle window.
Yeah.
So I think if they were rather trying to groom him for the inside six, he already had a plethora of players. Khalil did a exceptional job. Nokia, of course, he didn't have the best of the season, but we know what he is capable of. And
Yeah.
given that we have another backup in Sakaria who can also bowl inside the first 6 overs, I think it makes a lot of sense. Also because the pool is wide, so
Hmm.
Shardul is someone I think yes, his bowling has been effective. He has had those impacts, but I'm not sure if his batting is so much talked about. And I think when we are talking about the six down player, we need someone who can actually really give you something from the bat, because
Yeah.
if we structure the team, our top four is more or less settled unless there are injuries, and then comes
yeah,
Paul, who fits in as a power hitter, so he can give you a zero or he can give you a quick 30. So you have to account for that, insecurity that you have at that position. So of course,
Yeah.
moving ahead, you cannot rely on Akshar and Lalit and Shardul to be your actual tail that can, give you those. If you are say 60 for four, they can't bail you out if you're chasing 160. So I think those factors played in, and Aman Khan is a bonus. I don't see it as a actual trade, but he's definitely a bonus. But like you said, he's too naive. He's new to the whole tournament, and of course, domestic. holds value, but when we see the larger picture, it's too new to comment on him as a player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, very very good pointed out from Tejas over there. So as we know, we have 19.25 crores, and we have retained 19 players. We have to buy 7 players. So coming back to you, Dwaipan. Now coming to obviously the gaps and voids that Delhi Capitals have to fit. Obviously, we know that Case Bharat and Mandeep Singh, both of them left Delhi Capitals. They were released. So then the opening gap, opening position and number 3 position, maybe the backups should be obviously be looked. Tim Seifert also left Delhi Capitals. He was released, and obviously we just spoke about the Shardul Thakur trade as well. So for these boys, the remaining 6 players, which position? So wides that we have to see. Obviously, maybe we will have to see about a overseas finisher. Last time we only bought 7 overseas players instead of 8. So how do you think Delhi Capitals this time around will strategize, or maybe look into things compared to the injuries and all the mishaps happened in the last IPL? So how do you see Delhi Capitals approaching this auction based on the voice that they have to replace?
Yes, I think you have hit the nail on the, you've hit the top of the nail when you say that Delhi Capitals should target overseas finishers. To start off, I'll start off by naming someone who comes from your country, the captain of your side, Dasun Shanaka. I think he's a very underrated player, especially with what he's done for Sri Lankan cricket over the last 3 4 years. And I was just looking up some numbers. He's currently playing for Dambula, who the team hasn't done well in the current Lanka Premier League, but he has scored more than 100 runs at a strike rate of 171. So we
Hmm.
know he's got that batting prowess to come up and straight away start hitting, which is something that we see so often is required in the it's like what the doctors order for IPL cricket. And
Yeah.
this and for I'll just say even Rishabh Pant is, he's a young leader. I don't see that flamboyant, free-flowing Rishabh Pant ever since he's got the captaincy. So someone
Yeah.
who and Sri Lanka won the Asia Cup recently. So Dasun Chanaka brings a lot of leadership abilities as well with him. He's one. He's one of the prominent names I want, for Delhi Capitals to target, because if you go behind the big names, everyone has that, and mini auctions mostly we see one or two players, their price bursting through the roof. And if you watch the history of IPL auctions, the most expensive players have come in the mini auctions and not the mega auctions, because mini auctions people have more money and less amount of players to fill. So this is something that I believe would be a smart buy. Overall, if
Hmm.
you ask me, they are like the current Delhi Capitals squad. They don't have a lot of gaps. I think only the finisher part I think it's only the finisher part that requires something. If you one Indian talent that I'll push in is Narayan Jagdishan, who had an incredible Vijay Hazare trophy.
Yeah.
So he scored more than 830 runs, who was there also top run scorer. But again, Jagdishan, I believe IPL always needs to, Delhi Capitals, even other teams, they need to give a chance to young Indian talent. Indian talent, domestic performances need to be rewarded for players to, have that motivation that I do well here for 2 years. IPL teams are going to sign me. I get that opportunity. And Jagdishan has been around with different IPL teams. If Delhi puts him up, I also want them to keep him on the playing level. So
Hmm.
these two main names for me.
Tejas, coming to you, especially Sikandar Rasa is one player, obviously, that a lot of IPL teams are going to target. And as we know, Sikandar Rasa also has been signed by Dubai Capitals as well ahead of the ILT 2020. So we know the Dubai Capitals is owned by the GMR group. Do you think Sikandar Rasa could be one of those targets that Delhi Capitals could go with? Maybe their purse might not be sufficient, but do you think Sikandar Rasa could be bought at around 5 or 6 crores, or do you think other teams also will go and target Sikandar Rasa this time around?
So I don't think so. Keeping it short, no. The reason is that we already have spinner all-rounders in Akshar and Lalit. They do a fine job, and Raza is not it's not tested in the IPL, so you don't know what he brings. Of course, we saw him in the World Cup, and he was great. There's no denying his talent, but we have
Yeah,
to see what fits in our team. We need to start from the base. We are not planting the roots here. We are growing the flowers, right? The roots were planted last year in the mega auction. This is a mini auction. So you have to see. You don't have to go after the star names like Dwapan also correctly said. We have to see what fits well in our team, irrespective of how the names and how the stats stack. Of course, the stats have to stack up in terms of what is required for the team. But given the fact that we have wonderful spinning all-rounders in Lalit and Akshar, I don't see any room for Raza to be even tried for, honestly.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tejas?
one
Yeah.
interesting point that I'd like to chip in. Do you remember? I'm sure when all of us were watching the T20 World Cup earlier last month. So Sikandar Raza had put up. I had said in one of the press conferences. I just spoke to Ricky Ponting, and he wished me all the best. And Sikandar Raza came out and delivered a match-winning performances. These are small cues I feel that are there for people like us to pick up on. Why would Ponting these coaches, IPL coaches, they have a keen eye. They have a team that follow all kinds of cricket all around the world for T20 players to do well. So you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point over there as well. So coming with the retentions also. First of all, Tejas, coming to you, are you happy
Yeah.
with the 19 players that we've retained, especially with the uncapped players, mainly because Yash Dul, Vicky Oswal, they didn't get a chance much last time. Do you see them getting a better chance, especially Yash Dul was the highest run scorer for
Mm,
Smack this time, and Vicky
mm,
Oswal, as we know, did really well in the under 19 World
mm,
Cup last
mm,
year. So, do you feel these uncapped players will get more opportunities, especially this time around? We know Safraz Khan only got a few matches. We've seen how he's been performing well for the Ranji Trophy as
mm,
well,
mm,
scoring 1,000 plus runs. So, do you think these
mm.
uncapped players will get more opportunities this time around for DC?
See, so when we talk about uncapped players, especially in a mega auction, I don't think they are purchased with an idea that they have to immediately play in the IPL and perform. They're looking at the larger picture. They're looking at how they can groom and how they can train those players because you're talking under 19 right now. So when we talk about Yasdul, he comes from Delhi. He was under the Delhi Capitals Training Academy. So that's one thing to be proud of to start with. So I think it was a no-brainer to pick him along with Oswal, who's also a wonderful player.
Mm,
But having said that, they are very young, they're very new to just straight up be put in a playing 11. In Shahid Mushtaq, I think Yazdul was. I first of all, we can't even really see BCCI domestic tournaments well. So broadcast is an issue for us to really judge how the player played, irrespective of just seeing the stats on a cricketing app. But if you remember, the Delhi also lost the quarter final by 1 run. I'm forgetting the name of the team, which I think it was Maharashtra. I am forgetting the name honestly, but
mm,
Yazdul played a part because he was not out. So probably that also shows his inexperience that he was not able to close on the chase despite being there at the crease most of the time. But again, to be honest, I think when we were picking uncapped players at base price, especially under 19 players, you're not looking at the immediate impact, especially in the current tournament. Maybe later when you train them, and if you certainly don't find after training them that they are performing to a certain expectation in the nets, because that gives you a fair idea because they are training with one of the most experienced guys in the team, then maybe you can release them. If they are retained, of course, something the coaching staff has seen that can be maybe utilized. Not in a, I would again say that they will not be 100% used. I don't see Yazdol coming in and being a stable number 3 or number 4 in the team. But maybe they
yes.
can chip in 1 or 2 games when the team feels that there is a need or they can be allowed to. So it
Mm.
depends on the situation, I think, how the tournament folds for us. But I don't think we should be too concerned with the uncapped retentions.
Hmm. Yeah. And coming back to you, Dwaipayan, once again, talking about the left arm seamers that we have in the team, that there was a lot of people questioning about why did we have three left arm seamers and why we retained all three of them. We know Mustafizur Rahman, Khalil Ahmed, and Chetan Sakaria. All three of them have been retained. And a lot of
Yeah.
people were questioning why we retained all three of them, especially Sakaria didn't get much of opportunity last time because Khalil Ahmed was doing well in the last IPL, but this time around, I think Khalil Ahmed is currently injured. I'm not sure whether he'll be fit by March. But your thoughts on the DC retaining all three of these left arm seamers, and do you see Sakaria getting more of an opportunity next in this upcoming IPL season, or do you feel they will continue with Khalil Ahmed and Mustafizur Rahman? What do you see about these left arm seamers? I mean, the selection that DC have made to retain all three.
Yes, in interesting question. I think in your question lies the answer, as in why Chetan Sakaria has also been retained alongside Khalil Ahmed. You know, when before all these IPL auctions, the policies, all the teams, the coaches, the owners, people who are going to sit on the auction table, they all have a meeting and they say the coaches have the inputs in the sense that Chetan Sakaria might not have played enough, but one of the bowling coaches, one of the coaching staff might have mentioned that let's keep him for a season or two and let's see what. I feel there's something that he can offer to us. I don't think Chetan Sakaria came at a very huge price. He was 3 crores for 2.5 crores last auction, which is also a lot considering the amount of matches that he had played. I think Chetan Sakaria and Khalil Ahmed, both of them play for a single spot in the playing 11. Ahmed slightly ahead of the pecking order as of now, but you remember when Chetan Sakari in his first year with Rajasthan, he had just
Hmm.
brought in a different flavor for them. He had taken an outstanding catch. He's just a presence in the field. And sometimes that's what teams require, people, young blood, taking them through intense moments. But of course, that's gonna come with experience. And for example, of course, I am a strong advocate of playing Angidi and Nokia both in the same 11. If that happens, we won't get Mustafizur Rahman. So that's also where we might see more of Khalil and Chetan Sakaria, even though I don't see the two Indian left arm pacers playing together. But yes, I to answer your specific question in do you think Chetan Sakaria will play more of a role? I hope so, because he's an Indian left arm talent that we want to see more of. Whenever an Indian bowler comes up the ranks, we as Indian fans, DC fans, are very excited about it. So I hope he can bring something and surprise opposition batting
Yeah,
teams.
Yeah, very true. And Tejas, coming back to you, we know that
yeah.
Enric Noike last time was injured and missed out most of
Mm,
last season, and he obviously didn't perform also when he was given a chance, obviously due to his injury, and he was recovering from that hip
mm,
injury. This time, what do you see about Noike? Do you think that we actually need to go for our overseas bowler in case if something happens to Noike once again? We know Noike is a good bowler. I won't doubt about
mm,
his proneness and his little
mm.
proneness about it. Do you think maybe we can target a overseas bowler? I don't understand why. Obviously, they didn't give Ningidi a chance last time because
Mm,
I feel like Ningidi played much of a good role in the 2020 World Cup as well, and especially in the power play, he picks up wickets,
mm,
he swings the ball, he somehow gets wickets.
mm.
So do you feel like they have to target a overseas bowler, fast bowler this time around in case something happens to Noiki, or do you feel they'll have to give a chance for Ningidi this time around in case something happens to Anrik Noike this time around?
So see, because Nagiri is retained, I think the question is over that he would be given a chance if Nokia is injured, and we also have Mustafizur. So let's look at the window that we have four overseas players. I think Warner is fixed unless he performs badly in the first half. I don't think the management is too concerned, even though his current form in red ball or white ball hasn't been too great, despite the 100 odd he just recently made in the ODI. But
Yeah.
he's there, and I think Mitch Marsh, unless he gets injured again, he's a very injury prone. He's still injured as we talk. So
Mm.
I think he's not doubtful as of now for IPL, but maybe he is if the injury does not recover well on time. So
Yeah.
I'm just removing the ifs and buts, and these are the two that are confirmed with Nokia and probably Powell because we don't have any finisher. I think
Mm.
with Powell, a very interesting point would be that I think he was initially touted as someone who can give us a few overs as well.
Mm.
But clearly, especially with his recent T20 performances in domestic, in West Indies, and internationally, I think his bowling has taken a backseat, though his batting has been something to be talked about. But
Yeah.
given the fact that when fit, we are talking about Warner, Marsh, Pearl, and Nokia, right? So
Mm.
having two fast bowlers, international fast bowlers, in fact, already in the kitty, I don't think there's a need to go for any other international fast bowler. I think we rather have to focus on an all-rounder for sure, because
Yeah.
I still think that that's an issue down there, and perhaps then someone who can fit in also in the top order in case there's an injury or someone is out of form.
Yeah. Tejas, any suggestions for any replacement in case Mittelmarsh might not be fit? We know his injury record in the past with SRH and with other
Yeah.
franchises as well around the world. Do you recommend any middle order batsman that we have DC have to target this time around? Overseas middle order batsman coming up in the
You know,
auctions?
I would honestly say a likes to likes. If you want, it will be Ben Stokes. I don't think anyone can be better than that. But
Yeah.
given the weight that the name carries and the purse that we have, that seems a little
Yes.
far-fetched. But let's remove the commercial part for a bit. But I think Ben Stokes, if we are able to take him, I think he fits in very well. He will give you
Yes.
those overs, I think, in a better way than even Mitch Marsh could. And of course, he can play the anchor role when needed, and he can do the striking as well.
Mm.
So both the criterias are fulfilled very nicely. But having said that, I think the concept with the number three is also changing. I think it was initially that you want someone who can play till the end of the innings and take you through. But now that concept is also changing. We saw that I think Manish Pandey went for 5 or 6 crores. We were bidding for him, but
Mm.
LSG targeted him. But in the end, he was off and on in the team because his batting style did not suit their batting lineup. So the
Mm.
whole format and the demand has changed when it comes to the number three batsman, because now if you if you look at it, if we compare it with Shreyas, of course Shreyas is a fantastic batsman. I would always maintain that he's someone who has bailed us out more often than not. But having said that, if you have someone who can also be a pinch hitter and who can also anchor it down, I think that is the new number three that T20 is looking at. So I think Ben Stokes can do a good job there. But
Mm.
if not him, then probably someone from the Indian kitty that we have to target. Maybe I don't know. Pant is always touted as someone who can come up the order and open. Maybe he can come one down and then we can make place for someone down the line. Because I remember Paul, he in one of his post-match interviews even said that Rishabh wanted me to bat back end in the last 3 4 overs, but I told him to send me early, and he
Hmm.
created an impact.
Yeah.
So maybe he can climb the ladder, and someone can be fit in the lower order. Maybe that
Mm.
even gives more time to punt given his form. I think he needs those balls. He needs to eat up those balls to get his confidence back. It's very important because I think captain plays a great role. He's the leader of the team. He has to inspire the team and he has to play good cricket in the end. Good
Yeah.
captaincy is also a byproduct, but point A is to play good cricket to inspire the
Mm.
team. So maybe we can fit him as well. Who knows?
Mm. Very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two small
Yeah.
two small things that I have to add, because interesting that Tejas mentioned as Ben Stokes, because first of all, if in a hypothetical situation, if we get him, he's also a replacement for David Warner. Remember the time when Ben Stokes you wanted, like he had almost said that I want to
Mm.
open for Rajasthan Royals. He had also done that, and he won a really exceptional run chase against MI in 2020.
Mm.
Second point, Roman Powell, he just comes up. I think the match that the post-match presentation that they just mentioned was also that in infamous match where that no ball happened.
Yes.
Pant just
Against.
asked everyone to come back and all. And yeah, I mean, lastly, Rishabh Pant, as DC fans, we always like keep coming back to the same point. I think it's more of a mindset shift now. Rishabh Pant, sometimes I feel the Indian team, and I don't blame the Indian team about it, because it's just the nature of the job. It's how highly
Yes.
competitive. It's so mentally toll. It takes a mental toll on everybody. I
Mm.
just want like Ricky Ponting going up to Pant and saying, do what you do best, let me take the most. And we know Ricky Ponting to be that coach who wants to take that baton and who wants to make the bold calls. And Ponting just comes in and says, I do the majority of the thinking. Of course, captaincy still, as they just mentioned, Pant has to do that. Good cricket, as he mentioned, will only come if if he's free of any emotional baggage in terms of, I haven't been performing well in the past 2 3 months. Pant has produced some exceptional performances in the IPL. Even Brad Hogg in a recent interview mentioned that he needs to translate his red ball form into white ball formats. And the only way I see it happening is by a proper conversation with the management, saying that do your thing, free your mind up, and go and just play freely.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. So Aniruddha here says, so just go in the comment section. He says, love Dwaipayan.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's my college friend. He's a good guy. We might as well call him sometime.
Oh, all right, yeah. So coming back to the conversation once again. So as we know, obviously about Kuldeep Yadav's resurgence, because since the IPL, he got this highest wickets for Delhi Capitals last time with 21 wickets. He's back with the Indian national team once again, and especially we know now this time it's going to be the home and away format. We're going to play most of our games at Feroz Kotla this time in Delhi. So How do you see Kuldeep Yadav coming along at Delhi this time around? Because we are going to play in Delhi and in away pitches, unlike last season where all teams played in Mumbai. So Tejas, coming to you, seeing the positivity of Kuldeep's resurgence once again, doing really well in the IPL, then doing well for the Indian national team as well. How do you see Kuldeep going to perform for Delhi this time around, and along with Akshay and Kuldeep this time?
If we talk about 7 matches being played in Kotla, so I don't think it has been very friendly to the spinner, especially because of the boundary size. And Kuldeep is someone who demands that he can flight the ball. He has that leverage so that the long ball that he's targeting, or the slog he's targeting, there are fielders on the boundary who can take wickets, and he can be free. So I think as a spinner, you have to be little strict with your lines. You don't have that freedom, and especially in Kotla.
Yeah,
And I think Akshar in general fits better when it comes to the pitch of Kotla and how it comes out. Kotla's pitch, you can never really predict. At times there will be batters paradise. At times 140 would be
Hmm.
par there. So that's also a factor. Today it's something I don't know how it's gonna be when we are playing cricket there in March and April. So that's also something, maybe with 1 or 2 games we would need to assess how the pitch is playing there. But I still believe that he would need some assistance from the pitch because the boundaries are not in his favor. But Akshar is an all-rounder. I don't see Lalit playing. Lalit, I think, because of injuries, was a part of the 11. He doesn't fit in the actual 11 if we are talking about. So two spinners, one who can bat, one proper spinner. I think you need to give him that margin that he might go for a 40 for no in a few matches, and you have to give him that space that is okay. He can come back. He has the talent. There's no doubt.
yeah,
Even the best of the players can have an off day, and more likely than
Yeah.
not, you can have an off day as a spinner in Kotla. So you have to
true.
keep that in a factor. You cannot. The expectation shouldn't be high because you have to assess a lot of factors that would come in because this is not the same IPL. It's not three stadiums in Mumbai. You're
Yeah,
traveling for 7 and you're playing at home on 7. So a lot of
Hmm.
factors that come in, but given that he is taking a lot of confidence and he is not in the slum that KKR made him be into one, I think he would
Yeah.
be performing as an asset more than a liability more often than not for the team.
hmm. Dwaipayan, any more thoughts of
Yeah.
Kuldeep Yadav? Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. The more I've read about and seen people talk about Kuldeep, he's a confidence bowler. If he starts well, if he gets a wicket in the first over, he'll do well. But the
yeah,
problem arises when the batsmen have a clear-cut plan of attacking him. Then I feel he's a bit like a deer who gets caught in front of headlights. He does not know where to hide, and that's very clearly reflected on his body language as well. Do you remember the times when Moeen Ali absolutely blasted him away in 2019 in one of those matches when he played for KKR. Yes, KK,
yeah,
like as Tejas mentioned, KKR did not. Could have maybe handled the situation better, but look what
yeah,
he did last year. There was some he vented out the frustrations that he had. Whenever he took a wicket, especially that game against KKR. So Kuldeep Yadav as a bowler, I think if we have to choose between Kuldeep, even though I feel we have space for both of them, Akshar
yeah,
Patel with his experience, he has more arrows in his bow. He has
yeah,
more to his armory. He can, very line length, pace it down, pace it up. But Kuldeep,
true.
yeah, Yadav, he starts well, great. No better thing for us. But it starts getting a bit edgy. The fans get on the edge of their chairs if he starts getting attacked by the batters.
Yeah, very true. Yes. So we have one comment from the comment section here. Satwik here says, Pavan, I would like Murugan Ashwin or Makande in Kotla. Murugan Ashwin would be my recommendation because he is a line and length bowler, not more of control, which could be effective in Kotla. Coming back to you, Dwayapan, do you think that's a good suggestion made by Satwik? Do you see a spinner coming to DC in addition to Akshay Kuldeep for a third option,
Yes,
perhaps?
yes, why not? I mean, I feel
Bada
like
wala,
if you
bad
go
nahi.
through whatever the IPL strategists mention, they have a first line of action. Then, accordingly, if they get certain players, according how the rest of the teams buy players, the amount of purse left, then they have a plan B line of action. So, I don't think it's on the top of their priority list. But yes, at
Yeah.
some point of time when they feel they have got that finish, or when they feel that they have done a majority of what they had planned before getting into the auction table, then they might as well look into these options. I feel they are very viable.
Yeah. Tejas, what about you?
I think leg spinner. This spinner is a good option because we don't have one.
Hmm.
Kuldeep is a Chinaman. Akshar is using his fingers.
Flores
So
amount.
there is, and Lalit is bowling off spin, which is also part time, not something that you can rely
Hmm.
on. So I think
True.
that it brings in a tangent, but at the same time, we have to keep in mind that we already have Praveen Dubey, who offers the same
Hmm.
thing. He is not
Hmm.
released, so he is offering likes to likes. Unless he was released, I think it would have been an option, or rather a good option. But because we have Praveen Dubey, who is actually a very like to like when it comes to Murugan or Markande in terms of what he can offer as a right arm leg spinner, I think
Hmm.
he is there for the job that or the traits that are required in a Murugan or a Markande.
Hmm, very true. And coming back to the overseas options, obviously coming back to Mittelmarsch's thing, I just remembered. I mean, obviously Kane Williamson will be on radar for many teams, especially Tejas. Once again, do you feel Kane Williamson or Harry Brooks at number three, especially Harry Brooks with how he's performing the Test cricket? I know he bats at number five, but he's capable of batting at number four also. Do you feel we could perhaps get either Kane Williamson or Harry Brooks at a cheaper cost? Because anyways, they other franchises do think that Kane Williamson is sort of a test player, but he can perform in 2020. We know that, but as a sort of an anchor, because we don't have anchor. As much as we see in Delhi Capitals, and especially the number three and number four, more of them are pinch hitters or power hitters. So, as an anchor, do you feel, especially after Shreyas Iyer gone, we saw that Delhi Capitals sort of struggle in that number three, number four. Safraz Khan also wasn't that much consistent as well, with many shows in that number three spot. Do you feel we could target on a Kane Williamson or Harry Brooks in case of a backup, perhaps, if in case Mittelmarsh doesn't live up to expectations for next season?
I think we covered it a little bit in the talks earlier that what
Yeah.
the number three is demanding in T20 is a little different now. Kane
Hmm.
Williamson does fit in perfectly, and that was the whole idea. I think even till the last year when we were in the auction to have a stable number three batsman who can anchor it down. But
True.
two factors are here. One would be that will Kane Williamson be okay? I know he doesn't have a choice to be a backup because again he brings in a lot of weight with his name, and I think there will be still a lot of teams that would be targeting him because there are 10 teams now. That
Yeah.
also needs, I think, it needs to be very well accounted that the pool of players, is not that rapidly reaching heights. But when you
Hmm.
add a team, there are 40-45 players going more in the IPL. So
Hmm.
the scope of having such marquee players as a backup remains very low because there might be a team out there. I honestly not gone to analyze the other 9 teams that are there. We are focusing with our team right now. But I think there
Yeah.
are teams that would want him as a starter in their playing 11. Maybe SRH go back to him at a base price and maybe save a few crores as compared to the 14 CR they initially gave to him. Maybe that's the plan. We never know.
Hmm.
But having said that, I think Harry Brooks, because he's new, still new, he doesn't carry the weight of his name. He can very well be a replacement because we again it's a replacement, so we have to look at it in that way. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the leverage now to have a marquee player unless it's a miracle in the auction. I don't think we have the scope to have a marquee player warming our benches. So I think Harry Brooks fits in really well. But again, he's scoring centuries for fun in Pakistan, of course. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
does that form garner to white ball cricket, especially what
Hmm.
the IPL demands? I think it's the same game, but it's chalk and cheese in a way as well. So as a replacement, maybe fine, but then I would also question why did you remove Sefford? I think he played
Hmm.
one game. The game one he played, he had a quick five, he scored a few nice boundaries, looked sharp. One he then had a bad game and he was removed, and we tried something till the time Warner came and stabilized things at the top. But I would still question why Sefford was removed. He was a great backer, especially because he was a wicket keeper. He could open and come one down. So he covers for Shaw, he covers for Warner, and he covers for Marsh in a way. So I think he was a very good option as a backup. He was, I think he came for his base price of 50L, if I'm not wrong. So
Hmm.
it still baffles me why we have removed him, especially because we didn't fill our overseas slot. So I don't think 50L was making a huge dent in our pockets either ways. So I'm still not 100% sure of that decision of releasing him. Maybe the team has better ideas because they have more research and knowledge than me, of course. But let's see. That's my opinion. But I would, coming to conclusion, I would prefer a Harry Brooks over Kane Williamson, and probably the whole characteristics of the tournament would also prefer that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. Dwaipan, once again, want to go with this with the overseas. So obviously, you suggested DC to obviously get a overseas finisher, and you gave the suggestion who you wanted. Who else would you want to fit in, especially the one other overseas option? Do you we have obviously? Would you want a backup obviously for David Warner? Do you feel, or either in the number three position? Do you feel? Or either a bowler, but I think we have many overseas bowlers who can fill the role in. So, who do you think DC can go for as that eighth overseas option, and which position should they mainly target for?
Yeah, earlier I mentioned Ben Stokes as one of the possible replacements for David Warner. Cameron Green also, I'd say, is one of those hot topics, and hot big ticket names ahead of this mini auction, because look at what he did in the bilateral series right before the World Cup when at Australia had come over to in India, and these are things that everyone keeps an eye on. And Cameron
Hmm.
Green played with an amount, that T20 in Hyderabad where he reached 50 in no time. The way the shots he played in that innings, very few people have been able to play Bumrah in that manner. So that tells him that he is not overawed by the occasion. He does not feel uncomfortable to play in these conditions where IPL are played against these bowlers, where he'll encounter bowlers like Bumrah, like he's one of our best. So Cameron Green is definitely one of those big names that I hope DC are able to acquire his services for. Will they able to do it with the amount of purse that they've got? I,
That's a question.
Cameron Green is somewhere 7 8 crores maybe, but if we get him for 14 15 crores, I don't think it's one of the most financially wise decisions that we'd make. Sam Curran again fits in the finisher bill, but he's player of the tournament, he's player of the match in the final. He comes in with a lot of eyeballs revolving around them. We'll also see, teams two teams bidding for a player up till the 10 11 mark, and then a third team might chip in at 12 crores. So all these dynamics is something that I'm looking forward to in the auction. But
Hmm.
Kane Williamson, I think he's fallen out of favor a bit in over the last couple of years. He's still a force to reckon with in the ODI and Test formats. In 2018, all of us would remember he led SRH to the final, scored more than 700 runs in a single edition. But can he do it now with his sustained? And he's not even part of the India tour right now. That's gonna happen shortly. So his elbow injury, tennis elbow injury, has really haunted him, and I don't see him being the first choice players for teams. He might come in as Ajinkya Rahane came in for KKR last year, right at the end. So yeah, that's what I believe of these players that we've got so far.
Hmm. Yeah. Satvik here says DC should ideally not plan about getting Stokes, Curran, and Green. Ideally, Holder is the only option for DC, but the foreign players composition in an DC XI would mean that Powell would be dropped. What do you feel about that, Tejas?
I think I agree with him. Holder would be my number one overseas choice. He brings in the very decent bowling option with his height. He can bowl under the power play, which they were perhaps looking at with Shardul because he's released now. So he can get
Hmm.
that as well. And along with the fact that he's very handy with the bat, and given the fact that Kotla has small boundaries, his might and his physique will be a very big factor with the small boundaries as well. Of course, a
Yeah.
Powell has to be compromised, but when we are seeing the slot, when we are looking down the line, I think Holder brings a lot more to the game and as a package as compared to Powell. And
Hmm.
honestly, personally, if I was to choose, Holder would actually be my first choice when it comes to the foreign players.
Hmm. Very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. Kartikeya says great insights by Tejas. He should represent DC at the auction table. Might finally win next season. Yeah, hoping for the to win IPL very soon. So we have to wait patiently, and hopefully, 15 years we waited patiently. Hopefully, next year things will dramatically happen and we can win it. Yeah. So yeah, I think we covered everything possible. Coming once again, Dwaipan, just one last question. Do you feel maybe we can target Indian bowl? I mean, bowler who will perform, because we know that we have Khalil and Sakaria, but maybe a right arm fast bowler perhaps, because we only have Noikia right now and Ndidi, but Indian right arm pacer. Do you feel there is anyone up into the tanks that DC can target for? Obviously, we know Siddharth Cole has been performing, but I'm not sure much of his age. Probably he'll perform, and maybe there is one hot bowler that has been rumored about. I think it's Kaberappa. I think he's been performing for
Cover up.
Karnataka. Yeah. Do you feel he's a good option for Delhi Capitals for next season? Do you think they should target him, or any other fast bowlers, right arm pace, medium fast bowlers that DC can target for? I mean, Indian fast bowlers.
Yeah, as far as the team composition goes, as far as my squad composition goes, yes, I'd like someone or an Indian right armor because we don't have that right now. But if I'm making the first 11 of the Delhi Capitals team, I don't essentially require necessarily need to fit in a right arm Indian pace bowler. If I've got Khalil, if I've got Sakaria, in some games we can afford to play Angidi and Nokia both, so I don't necessarily need to worry about an Indian right arm pacer, especially. And we also have Kamlesh Nagarkoti, so he's not been released yet. So he's someone that I feel is finally, we can't call him a rookie anymore because he's been there for close to 4 years now. Even though injury concerns notwithstanding, he's been around the IPL circuit and just spending time, even if you don't play for a single game, spending time in an IPL team with those players, all the global stars, global coaches, is a big learning curve for the younger teams, for the younger players. Sorry, so that I feel is something that we could, usher a lot of more responsibility to these younger players like Kamlesh Nagarkoti, and earlier, as we say, uh, Vicky Ostwell also. I am very excited to see him. But yeah, the right arm pacer, yes, if at the end we have something, we have enough funds available, we can go. But that's not one of the alarming things that I need to specifically cater to this Friday.
Tejas, what do you think about that? Should we target a Indian right arm pace bowler, or do you agree with Dwaipayan that we have more priorities to target for than what? I mean, this could be a final suggestion. Maybe if we have the purse, so if we have one or two players to buy, perhaps we can target a Indian right arm fast bowler. What do you think?
A lot depends on how Aman Khan performs. Because I think
Hmm.
there's a lot banking on him. He's also a bowling option that we are forgetting. So we are not as well versed as the management is when it comes to Aman Khan. If he is to the expectation and he can give you nice 4 overs, I think I would agree that we don't need. It's not top of the chart right now when it comes to the auction. But of course, I think even when it comes to the facade revolving the left arm pacer, I think it's a little over exaggerated. If
Hmm.
we remove the whole left arm pacer and if Khalil and Sakaria were right arms, I think the debate would not be this much because Khalil and Sakaria are, of course, they are likes to likes because they bring, in terms of the attributes, yes, they are very similar. But yet, I think Sakaria is more who can give you that swing and he can give you the initial over, and Khalil did exceedingly well, I would say, in the depth. So I think when it comes to that, we have to also see that we have two very very nice Indian bowlers. I think Indian bowlers are still a charm to find, and
Yeah.
something that the franchise probably would have to again scout. And if they are scouting, then they cannot fit in right away in the 11. I don't see any player in the auction list right now who can straight away fit in the 11.
Hmm.
But having said that, we talked about it, we covered it earlier that we have a lot of uncapped players. Vicky Oswal also is an all-rounder, bowling all-rounder, but he can give you a few overs. So having said that, I think it's not a concern, and especially I don't think there is one target player, especially an Indian pacer. Ishan Sharma, maybe if you want that experience, you can get him in the base price when the auction is ending and wrapping up, just for the role that he can play as a probably like a mentor, with
Yeah.
Agarkar. So maybe he can come in just for his experience. Not I don't think he'll fit in the playing 11 very often. But I think if they're targeting, it shouldn't be the younger side. It should be the more experienced side, and the target should be to have a very, 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 very good foreign bench set that we are lacking. Radhe Dasan is there, Darrell Mitchell is there, Jason Holder, according to me, should be the number one priority. So I think these are players who fit in really. And Tom Banton can be a lovely, lovely replacement. So I think
Yeah.
these are the players that they should target. They are not marquee players, but when you hear the name, you realize what they can bring to the table, to the team especially. So
Yeah.
these are the names I think. Of course, I don't see that Delhi's name would be there anywhere in the top two highest bid players. I think
Hmm.
Punjab or
Mm.
KKR is probably taking that spot. But I think these players, who were not carrying that much of a name, but really provide the quality the the team needs, filling the holes as you say. So I think that should be the target. So don't run after the names. Look at what your team requires. Look at where the loopholes are. You release Shardul, you need a bowling all rounder for sure. So I think Holder
Yeah.
brings a lot, and I think very honestly he brings a lot more than Shardul. So that
Mm.
that would be my pick, and that would be the whole idea. That don't run
Yeah.
after players. Look at the formation. Look at how you are charted on the paper, and then fill the players accordingly.
Yeah, very good insights from Teja. So there, we'll just go to the comment section before ending the show. Satvik says LR Chetan to replace KS Bharat. Dwayapan, your thoughts on that? But I've not
Yeah,
seen him much. I don't know. Yeah, but anyways,
Yeah,
thought,
LR Chetan does not ring a lot of bell to me, but KS Bharat, he had played a pivotal role in defeating DC a couple of seasons ago. So this is what we often see many teams doing it. IPL teams, a particular player who played very well against them in a crucial moment of the tournament, next mega auction, they just pick him to their side. So I don't know. KS Bharat, I feel KS Bharat has done
okay,
enough to.
any thoughts why KS Bharat and Mandip Singh actually failed last season? Especially, do you think it was ideal for KS Bharat to open, or do you feel he could have batted at the number three position that he was given with RCB? Given that he performed well in that season with RCB, do you
Yeah.
think DC perhaps misjudged on KS Bharat's position, his batting ability, and perhaps did the wrong thing by opening him? Or what do you think about why did KS Bharat not perform as expected by Delhi Capitals? Because we had many high expectations of KS Bharat to obviously perform and get his role well. Do you think with Safraz Khan, perhaps I think that position was missed? So what do you feel about that, Dwayapan?
Yeah, first things first, I feel KS Bharat did not get enough opportunities. I think he had made quite a name for himself when he was with RCB. He had scored, he had played two, three really substantial knocks that communicated that this guy has got substance. So when we got him over to DC, I really believed he deserved more chances. In the limited opportunities that he got, I think he was able to show something. But again, it becomes difficult for you to replicate that form once you have had a long layoff. But KS Bharat, I believe, I don't want him to be replaced. I think he has a lot to offer. So yes, I am all for KS Bharat.
Yeah. What do you think, Tejas, about maybe
Yeah. So KS
Dwayapan?
KS has KS has been released from the team. He didn't get much opportunity, but again, when we talk about the term replacement,
Oh,
was he ever placed well in the team to be replaced? Is the question. He was never
uh,
placed in the team. He was just
yes,
given one or two opportunities, and given
yes,
the fact that Rishabh is someone who would not move unless he is injured, and you're looking at some maybe foreign wicketkeepers, of course that is not an option. We have to keep in mind that the player is more likely than not warming the bench, right? So look at a player. Look at Pant is also young. He's not in his 30s to think about future for Delhi right now. So I think the
hmm,
wicketkeeper can also be someone who is a little more experienced,
Yeah.
who has seen the IPL, because if he has to come in at the later half of the IPL because of an unfortunate injury to Pant, he can fill in because he has experience. If we are going at a younger lot, they don't have that experience. Playing match 12 or match 13, they would feel the nerves, of course. So maybe someone like Akashdeep Nath, who has not had much opportunities in the IPL, but you heard his name more often than not, so he knows what the tournament demands. So
yes,
maybe someone not as new, but maybe someone who's a little more seasoned with the IPL. And of course, no big names, of course, because it's an injury replacement for fun. That's about it. And I think the player would also well understand what he's in for the team.
Yeah. Satvik has asked for a top order batter, I would recommend Will Jacks of Phil Salt, just like Pretoria Capitals. Do you agree with that, Dwayapan?
yeah. See. For example, I'd say this as the Darcy Short curse. Darcy Short, he had couple of absolutely great big bash seasons. He had scored 740, 750 runs in a single BBL season. Then came over to India, played the IPL, and absolutely fizzled out. So it's difficult now. I won't say that everyone would turn out like Darcy Short. So Will
Mm,
Jacks, Phil Salt, for example, is someone who's played a lot in the PSL. He's done well over there, but players like Will Jacks, I think he's currently in the England Test squad as well. He's bowling off spin and he's coming in late in the order. I think the reason why England are giving youngsters chances in Asian conditions is for them to gain that exposure. And on a side note, England Cricket Board is doing a great job on that. But I don't think Will Jacks will sort as of now for this season,
mm.
given how the DC team stacks up.
Yeah. Just one more question before we wrap things up. Karthikeya says more of a fantastical question, but do you ever see Virat Kohli joining the DC squad in the future, considering he's a Delhi boy and has represented the city in domestic leagues before? Tejas, your thoughts? I think Virat Kohli won't leave RCB because I think
Yeah,
he's
Yeah.
told previously also
I
that,
think
yeah.
he's head over heels for his franchisee, which is a good thing, which is something I think the Delhi Capitals franchisee has lacked. So maybe
Mm,
not someone exactly like Virat, but someone who can capture the essence of being loyal to a franchisee like Virat. So
mm,
not Virat Kohli exactly, but maybe someone who has more of his traits and continues to be loyal and continues to be associated with the team in the long run. And irrespective of being from any city, he's true to the game and is willing to perform for the franchisee.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have any your thoughts also on this? Yeah.
Yeah, very similar, very similar. I think
Mm,
if you ask a DC fan what's one thing he'd want to change, this is the answer. But Virat Kohli has been very clear when he left the captaincy, when he left in 2020. So he's been very nonchalant about it. Absolutely clear that he's gonna play for RCB till the end of time. Mm,
mm.
So that's about it.
Yeah. Final thoughts, guys. Just one advice or whatever to the DC management or even Ricky Ponting. We know that he won't be attending the auctions on the 23rd, as what happened last year. Any advice to the DC management and to the owners of who to target? Any strategies or any advice to them before going ahead of these auctions, mini auctions? First, we'll start with Tejas. Yeah.
I think they have to play smart. Don't go after the big names. Enjoy your time because we have a very good squad as it is. We're just filling the little gap that are needed that you can fill with good players. You don't have to run, and hopefully the budget is not a concern. And play smart. You have to also look at how the teams are ranking up. I think we did a fantastic job in disrupting the team's balance and how they were planning their strategy in the previous auction. So I think Delhi can do something like that as well, especially because there are a few teams who are coming with big purses. So maybe pull up the prices for someone and play spoil sport in that sense as well. Because at the end of the day, this is
Yeah.
also impacting your teams 4 months down the line.
Yeah.
So it's much more than picking your players as well. There's a lot that goes into it. So just enjoy it. We already have a good team, so there's no stress about it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to give any research opinions to them because I think they're much well versed than I am.
Mm,
But I would just give a personal preference that go for Jason Holder and go for a overseas
Yeah.
wicket keeping batsman
Jason Holder.
because he brings a lot of potential and maybe an experienced bowler who can be more like a mentor or a coach alongside Agarkar and can give you maybe few overs if required. So
mm.
that are my thoughts going ahead for Friday and let's hope for the best and let's enjoy the option as it unfolds.
Yeah. Do I open your final thoughts as well on Delhi Capitals? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention Jason Holder as well because in one of the, I think it was 2020 when SRH played RCB in one of the qualifiers. Jason Holder came up and RCB were batting first. He took the first wicket for Virat Kohli, and that really sets the tone. In many of the chases also we have seen Holder had joined forces with Kane Williamson, and then they had been able to shepherd their side to wins from precarious positions in very crucial times of the tournament. So that I feel that experience is somewhere that DC has been lacking. Tejas, all of us would know since 2012 to 19 we did not qualify for the playoffs. Then we went to the playoffs, then we went to the final. In 2021 we became the first team in those 3 years to qualify for each of those 3 years. So that stability is something that I hope. I was sad that DC is a good enough team to make the playoffs. Once, as MS Dhoni famously said in the 2010 press conference, once you get into the playoffs, it's like jackpot thing. But DC, I
Hmm.
believe, is a good enough team to reach the playoffs. Jason Holder is one of those guys who'd add to the armory, who'd add
Hmm.
to that experience part that would help us win matches where I feel Pant as a captain sometimes falters. No,
Hmm.
it'll only get better with experience. But yeah,
Yes,
that's if there's 1.1 hole from where the water is going out of the DC ship, it's
I
that.
agree.
So yes, as they just said,
Yeah,
let's
but
hope for
Jason
the best.
Holders has suggested that he wants to play under MS Dhoni and CSK one day. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the
Yeah,
auctions.
Jason Holder's
But
already played. He has already played under MS Dhoni,
yeah.
so he might as well come back to Delhi.
Very true. Yeah, so that wraps up the show, guys. Thank you so much, Tejas and
Thank
Dwaipayan,
you.
for joining today. It was really, really, thank you so much for staying along as well, because a lot of good insights on this video. And I hope the audience also got some inspiration, got some insights about how Delhi Capitals can go through, strategize ahead of the pre-auction, May auction that happens on Friday. So all the best for Delhi Capitals. That's what we can say as fans and as DC Toli as well. So let's see how it goes, guys. It's going to be
Yeah.
exciting. A mini auction, anything can happen. So hopefully, hopefully things go well for Delhi Capitals for the upcoming auctions. So thank you so much once again to
Thank
Tejas
you.
and Vayap. Yeah, and
Thank
we
you for
mean,
bringing me.
guys, yeah. Please do subscribe to Sports Breakdown. Please like, comment, and share on the video as well. And we will be back with the IPL 2023 auctions. Many videos on that upcoming for on Friday as well. We'll be hopefully doing a watch along on that as well. So hopefully we can keep in touch with the IPL 2023 mini auction. So thank you so much, guys, and
Thank
see you
you.
in the next video, guys. Thank you so much. Goodbye, guys, and good night.
Good night. Good night.